This is an introductory video to Chapter 2 on installing Windows. Here's an overview to Chapter 2. We'll be looking at exploring OS additions, planning clean installs versus upgrades, understanding installation types, and using virtualized installations. Windows 7 comes in the following editions. We have Starter, Home Basic, Home Premium, Professional, and Ultimate and Enterprise. Ultimate and Enterprise are the same except for the licensing differences. In this slide, we're comparing the features found in the various Windows 7 editions that are available. So if you look in the column that says Basic or Starter, you can see there are less features available than the Ultimate version. Windows provides the ability to upgrade to a more advanced feature using the Windows Anytime Upgrade feature, but you cannot downgrade, and you can only upgrade within the same bit level. So if you have 32-bit, you can only upgrade to another 32-bit. Windows 7 Starter and Home have very basic hardware requirements: 512 megabytes of RAM, 1 gigahertz processor, 16 gigabyte of hard drive space for Starter, and 20 gigabyte hard space for Home Basic. You need a graphics card that's capable of supporting DirectX 9 with at least 32 megabytes of memory. For the other editions of Windows 7, you need 1 gigabyte of RAM for 32-bit, 2 gigabyte of RAM for 64-bit, a 1 gigahertz processor, 40 megabyte hard disk drive, and a graphics card capable of supporting DirectX with 128 megabytes of memory. When you're determining your actual system requirements, you want to ask yourself the following questions. What applications will the user run? How many applications will the user run concurrently? And what background processes will run on the machine? Your answer to these questions will help you determine the ultimate hardware requirements. As you're preparing for your upgrade to Windows 7, you want to use Microsoft's PC Upgrade Advisor. That tool is a great tool which will help you to tell about your hardware requirements necessary for your OS installation. So to look at your RAM, it'll look at your processor, it'll look at your hard drive space, and it will determine whether or not it's capable of running the version of Windows 7 that you're trying to install. We're going to be looking at the upgrade path. So if you're going from Windows XP, first you must upgrade to Vista and then upgrade to Windows 7. You can also perform a clean install and migrate your settings using the Windows Easy Transfer, but you can also choose to do a clean install and discard all settings. If you're going from Windows Vista, you want to apply Service Pack 1 and then upgrade. The other option is to perform a clean install and migrate your settings. Or you can perform a clean install and discard all the settings. If you want to move from an early version of Windows, you want to upgrade through multiple operating systems until Vista is reached and then upgrade to Windows 7. Or you can perform a clean install and discard all settings. If you have a non-Microsoft operating systems, you want to perform a clean install and discard settings. Only the data can be maintained. I always recommend a clean install. If you're worried about application compatibility, Microsoft does supply some tools. The Application Compatibility Toolkit is one of those tools. As you're planning for upgrade, you want to think about what version of Windows am I currently running? Does my hardware meet the requirements for Windows 7? Will I deploy a 32-bit or a 64-bit edition? What edition will I deploy? And are my applications compatible? There are various installation types you can do the installing from removable media. That most consumers use that method, but it's too time consuming in an enterprise environment. They're going to use a LTI or ZTI installation and put their installation files up on a network-based system. So the zero-touch installation means the system can be remotely started up and automatically the installation will occur. One of the problems with Microsoft OS is trying to keep track of your licenses. So uh, the average home consumer uses a retail product key, sometimes may use an OEM, original equipment manufacturer key, which comes with hardware. But in an enterprise environment, they're going to use MACs and KMSs in order to license their products. One of the benefits we have today is we have really powerful hardware, and our OS is not using the full functionality. So we can do what's called virtualization. And here we're looking at a Windows Server 2008 Hyper-V host. On that host, there's multiple operating systems running simultaneously. There's Vista, a Linux system, there's Active Directory, there's a file server and an Exchange server, all running within a virtual environment. So we can use the power of that hardware. This slide shows you how virtualization works. Hypervisor is a platform that attaches to your physical hardware, and your host operating system attaches to it as well. That's one method. That's Hyper-V or ESXi. ESXi is VMware's product for hypervisor. Or you can use a product like VirtualBox or VMware's Workstation, which rides on top of your host operating system to provide a virtualization engine, and your guest OS attaches there. So that's a summary of Chapter 2, exploring OS additions, clean installs, understanding installation methods, and virtualized environments.